Evening, everybody. Thought I'd do a quick Q&A session here about the upcoming through hike. I start 2 weeks from today, so send me your questions down below there, and as they scroll up, I'll answer them. What gear questions do you have? What questions about the hike? So let me just tell you a little bit about some of the electronics that I'm using to keep my batteries charged while I'm out there. I've got the Anchor 20,000 milliamp battery charger and the Anchor Smart IQ charger. And then I'm taking a long cable. I think it's 8 feet or something like that. Let's see, what's start date? So I'm starting the approach trail on Sunday, the 23rd, 2 weeks from today. And then I plan on hiking about, maybe 10 miles that first day. There's a shelter, Springer Mountain Shelter at 0.2 miles in on the Appalachian Trail. And then I think Silver Creek is 2 miles beyond that. So depending on how I feel when I get to either one of those, I may press on and do 10 miles that first day and go to Stover Creek. Thanks for the question. My pack, so my base weight right now is about 18 pounds, and that doesn't include food and water. It could get to 20, but I've added a couple of other winter things to it just to keep me warm. Like I went out and I did invest in a pair of waterproof, like negative 22 degree mittens, especially to get me through the Smoky Mountains. But they're not heavy at all, but just to have that extra peace of mind to not, have hypothermia or anything is something I definitely want. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate the comment. I'm looking forward to it. Should be pretty exciting. What else y'all want to know? I'm back to my waterproof socks. Great question. No, I'm not going to do waterproof socks. I followed a few people last year on YouTube that hiked northbound, and the waterproof socks just didn't seem to do well. They wetted out within a couple hours or something, and their feet ended up wet anyway. So I'm going to carry 2 extra pair of socks and 1 extra pair of liners. 1 pair of socks will stay in my sleep gear, and it'll stay clean and dry all the time. So when I get to camp and get in bed, I have dry socks to keep warm. And then I'll have just a backup pair of socks and liners that if things get too horrible, I can change them out. And then I've added some shock cord to my shoulder strap on my backpack, and I can attach the socks to that during the day to dry out if it's not raining as I walk. So good question. Thank you. Yes, I'm only using my Galaxy S10 will be with the dirty screen. That's what I'm going to be vlogging with and taking pictures and stuff. I'll take some extra SD cards, and I'm using the KineMaster app to edit the videos and upload them. That's what I've been using pretty much since August of last year. So, yep, just using my phone. I would like to take a 35 millimeter camera to take pictures, but it's just too much weight. So how long will it take to hike from beginning to end? The average is 5.5 months. I've taken 6 months off of work to do this, and I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't take that long. But it, like I said, the average is 5.5 months. I hope to be done maybe a little sooner than that, but I'm not going to push it in the early days. I don't want to push an injury or something like that. So the first week will probably be, maybe 10-mile days. And at the end of that week, I'll reevaluate and possibly take what we call a 0 day off, and then increase mileage the week after, maybe take another 0, and then the third week increase even further. So that was one school of thought I read in one of the books, and those folks did well and did not have any injuries or anything. So it gives your body a chance to adjust to the trail, and not injure yourself. So while we're waiting on another question to pop up, one of the things I have done is I've planned 3 resupply drops to get me to the Smoky Mountains. I plan on one in Hiawassee and resupplying there one time. And then I'll send myself a box to Standing Bear Farm on the other side of the Smokies when I come out to get myself a good resupply there. And then after that, it'll pretty much be town stops from then on. But so my pre-Smoky Mountain box has cramp-on ice traction devices for my shoes, and a sleeping pad because you got to sleep in a shelter in the Smokies, and I'm a hammock camper. So let's see. What time was I planning to be close to the Skyline Drive? So the northern terminus in Front Royal, I should be here probably the end of April, beginning of May. But we went to the ATC today in Harpers Ferry, and the guy said usually it's about 3 months to get to Harpers Ferry. I figure it's probably 35 days or so to get to Damascus, Virginia. It's another 28 to 30 days to get the rest of the way through Virginia. So I'm figuring probably early May. And again, some of that hinges on how many miles I can do, the weather. Do we get snowed out for several days through the Smokies and stuff like that? So thank you for the question. So how's the weather been here? We had a couple of inches of rain the other day. We've had a little bit of ice up on the mountain, but it's nothing thick. It's nothing that's lasting more than a couple of days. So the trail conditions here are pretty good. They're just a little wet at this point. But starting tomorrow, it's supposed to rain, I think, every day through Thursday. So they're going to be wet, but there's not much ice. The temperatures have been, above freezing. So they're in pretty good shape. Thanks for that question. Trail Magic in July in Massachusetts. What's the best way to locate you in the rest of the bubble? So I'm going to be vlogging this journey on YouTube. I'm sure I'll be posting some pictures on Instagram and Facebook as well. My videos may run a little behind on YouTube because I don't want the stress of every night having to push out a video, and if I don't have service and stuff like that. So they may be delayed, a few days to a week because it takes time to edit them and get them uploaded and get them out if there's service and stuff. But so I guess the best thing to do is just kind of follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I heard today there are 20 other people starting on the same day that I'm starting. So people started, again, I saw today, and that makes about 100 people that have started this year already. So, and I've got 2 more weeks, and like I say, there's 20 starting on the same day I am. So that's pretty cool. I won't be hiking alone, that's for sure. And that's awesome that you want to do Trail Magic. That's a huge thing. I follow, folks on YouTube and stuff, and they talk about what a blessing that the Trail Magic is. It's not expected, but it's certainly welcome when it happens. So thank you for offering to do that. That's going to be exciting. And that's such a great service people provide to thru hikers. That's awesome. Yeah, the ATC, They ask you to register, though it's not required, it's voluntary. They ask you to register so they have an idea of the usage of the trail. So, yeah, as of today, when I checked in up there, there were 20 other. When I registered a while back, a couple months ago, there were only 6 of us, I think, starting that day. The weather in the Smokies this past week was terrible. They got 7 inches of rain up in the Smokies, and there was a lot of flooding in Gatlinburg and stuff. So there's a lot of roads and stuff going up there that's closed. And then it followed up with like 6 or 8 inches of snow. So I saw where a young man was. He just got into Fontana yesterday, and he hiked a 16-mile day in 6 inches of snow. So that's pretty crazy. Um, have you linked up with anyone for your start date yet? No, not yet. I'm a member of a closed Facebook group of thru hikers, and I was going to put out a message and see who else was starting that day. Some people aren't doing the approach trail. They say it's not part of the AT. They're not interested in doing that extra 8.8 miles. I contend if you're hiking almost 2,200 miles, what's 8 more? Those falls, I think, are the highest falls east of the Mississippi. And it just looks like part of, an exciting part of the experience. So I plan on starting at Amicalola Falls State Park, hiking up those stairs and doing that approach trail and just getting used to the trail. I mean, it's not that big a deal. I have all day to do it. And, I'll start the actual Appalachian Trail on Monday. So not a big deal. But thanks for that question. I'm sure, like I said, there's 20 people starting. So I know there's a bunch of retired military, fire, police, folks like that this year that are talking about hiking. So it'll be neat to hook up with some of those folks and share stories and whatnot. How will you get around the bridge at Harps Ferry? So that's a great question. Today they talked about at the ATC that, of course, there's like 3 entities that's responsible for that. CSX is offered to fix the bridge, but then you have 2 different national park entities that, are, I don't want to say arguing, but have conflicts over, how to go forward. But my plan is, I live close to Harpers Ferry. So my plan is, if that bridge is still out, that's probably an opportunity to visit with my wife and have her come pick me up, give me a ride, maybe bring the tramway at that point back here to my house, clean up, everybody feed well and whatnot. And then we'll go back and cross the Potomac River on 340 and, get let out there at the below the train tunnel and then get back on the C&O and the AT and hike from there. So good question. But as of now, I don't know if that'll even be done at that point. It was kind of neat. I ran into a guy today at the ATC. He's a Sobo, and he started a couple weeks ago at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and he's going south. So he certainly had some fun weather to put up with already. But he's heading all the way to Georgia, starting in Pennsylvania. He had already done the northern part of the Appalachian Trail before that, so that's kind of neat. Yeah, that's the only thing I really haven't done to get ready for this hike is go out and spend a couple nights out hiking just in the pouring rain. So I have pretty good rain gear. I'm pretty confident in that. And the kind of the running joke when I was a scout leader is that, every time we went, it poured down rain anyway. So everybody knew when to expect rain when I was around. So I have a lot of experience hiking and camping in the rain. I just haven't had a chance to try out my new gear yet, but I'm sure I'll have ample opportunities to do that before I'm very far in. Great question. Have I ever hiked the White Mountains? I have not. I've not hiked any further north than, probably West Virginia and Harpers Ferry area. I go over to Dolly Sods and hike that area, but mostly around Shenandoah National Park. My boys and I went to Grayson Highlands over the 4th of July, and we hiked down there for 3 days, and that was really a fun experience. We had a lot of thunderstorms and rain that weekend, but it was a lot harder than what we expected, but it was a good time. We really had fun. So up north, no, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll be in good hiking shape by the time we get up there, but thanks for the question. So how far out have I planned my food drops? So it should take me about 2.5 weeks to get to the Smoky Mountains to Fontana. So I have 3 supplies boxed up and ready to go to that point. The first one's going to go to Neal Gap, which is about 32 miles into the Appalachian Trail. They have a little resupply options there at the hostel and general store, but I don't know what all they have. By then, I will not have figured out the trail very much. And I have some things that I definitely want to ship myself. So I have those already bagged up and ready to go. And they do accept packages and we'll hold them for through hikers. The second one, resupply I'm mailing myself, is to the NOC in North Carolina. I think that's Nantahala Outdoor Center. And that's another resupply box. And then, like I said, the third and biggest one is going to Fontana Village before I go into the Smokies, because I got to mail my crampon spikes and my sleeping pad and things that I need to go into the Smoky Mountains for. And then once I get on the other side to Standing Bear Farm Hostel, I'll box that stuff up that I didn't use and ship it back home. Yeah, that's a neat comment that you've never been down south. I understand the mountains of North Georgia are no joke, so that's going to be interesting for me too. Because around here they're really not bad. I mean, we have the roller coaster section that goes up and down, I think 10 ridges or 10 hills, 10 mountains over the course of like 13 miles. So it's a lot of fun to do that, but no tremendous elevation gain or loss there. It's 1,000, 1,200 feet, something like that, each one of those. Neal Gap will actually shake down your equipment for you and tell you what to box up and ship home. I've got my gear pretty well dialed in. I can't imagine there's much that I'm going to need to ship home. I've got a set of sleep clothes, which is Smart Wool Merino 250 base layer, top and bottom, basically long johns. Like I said, I've got a clean, dry pair of socks, and then my hiking clothes. I'm really not carrying extra clothes, so everything else is whittled down to bare necessities. Those mittens may not be necessary, but I've heard of it being super cold in the Smokies, and man, I don't want to get frostbite on my fingers or anything. I don't want anything like that to possibly end a hike. So I'm just going to be prepared, carry that little extra weight, and go from there. Hey Dale, good to see you, buddy. Hope you guys are doing well. Must not be too busy at the firehouse tonight, but it's good to see you. And my pack weight right now, I'm hovering right around 18 pounds base weight, and that doesn't include food and water. When I get rid of my winter gear, probably somewhere around Damascus, maybe Harrisburg, something like that in Virginia, I'll be down to about 12 pounds, which is pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that. I'll be light and I'll be in pretty good hiking shape by then and can hopefully crush some miles out. Thanks for your question, though. I hope you're doing well, pal. Excuse me a second. I'm going to take a drink of water here. What has been your longest prep hike? So, well, that's a good question. I actually went to Philmont Scout Reservation in October with a group of adults, and that was part of the reason for going there. Is one, I'd never been to Philmont, and two, I wanted to use that as a little bit of a training exercise to get ready for the Appalachian Trail. So the longest day I've hiked was out there, and we did an 18-mile day, and we went up to a little over 10,000 feet, which was Cimarroncito Peak. So that was a pretty good day. I'd never hiked that far before, but I'm real happy with my choice of footwear and socks. I didn't have a blister or anything. My feet got a little sore at the end, but we came down this trail called the North Fork, I think, and it was real rocky and just it was difficult. So, I had sore feet for that night, but I got up the next morning and we went back out, and it was great. So 18 miles is the longest. Most of my nights out, 2-3 nights with scout troops is the longest I've been out. It's too hard to get off from, take too much time off work to go and do those shakedowns. But like I say, I've got my gear pretty much dialed in. I've been backpacking off and on since 2008 with scouts and stuff. So I'm not new to it. But I'm new to the lightweight aspect of it. And I really had to get rid of a few things and go with some newer, lighter weight gear, just so I wasn't, carrying a 40-pound backpack, which I was carrying in the early days of backpacking. I thought it was a badge of honor to wear a 40-pound pack into Dolly Sods, West Virginia, and that doesn't make for a fun trip. So I talked to a guy today there at the ATC. He was a volunteer there. He had hiked, I think, 2008, and he said his pack weight, base weight, no food and water starting out, was 40 pounds. So with his food and water, he must have been lugging 50 pounds, and I can't even imagine that, but good on him. What other questions you have? I see quite a few people on here, so fire away. Let's answer some questions here. I don't know really what you want me to talk about if you don't have a question, so I don't want to bore you too much. So how do people get from the airport to the trailhead? So for me, I am actually, I only live an hour from Manassas, Virginia, and the Amtrak train comes through there. So I'm going to be traveling via Amtrak to Gainesville, Georgia. And then I connected up with a trail angel down in that area, and she is going to pick me up at the train station on Saturday morning, take me back to her house. I'm going to help her out with some things. She's got some rescue dogs and whatnot, and I'm going to help out with those things. She's going to feed me, and Sunday morning, drive me to the trailhead. So I think the state park opens at either 7 or 8 in the morning. They do a how to hike the AT class real quick. Talk about the principles of leave no trace and things like that. They give you your hiker tag with your number on it and send you on your way. So for me, that's what I do. I've got somebody picking me up at the train station. It's about a 12-hour train ride down. Not a big deal. But there's some things out there on YouTube on how people, fly into, I think, Atlanta, and then how you get to, various places from there. What else we got here? What type of footwear? Great question. It took me a long time to get this dialed in. I use the Ultra Lone Peak 4 Mid. So it's like a hiking boot, with the higher ankle versus a trail runner, but it's lightweight like a trail runner. Dries quick, doesn't hold water. It's got the wide toe box. They're just a fantastic shoe. And like I said, on that 18-mile day, I didn't get any blisters or anything. It was fantastic. I haven't had that kind of luck with other shoes, regardless of the socks I wore. I could wear smart wool socks with and without liners, blisters. So it just didn't matter. But with these shoes, I'm also using what's called a wigwam liner sock. And then I have switched to darn tough hiking socks. Man, it's like walking on clouds. It's spectacular. So my footwear's come a long way for sure. So, and I anticipate probably needing to purchase 4 or 5, maybe even 6 pair along the way. As long as they continue to work, that's what I'm going to use. I love them. So thanks for that question. That's good. Any help with future drops? So right now, I don't know what I don't know. The beauty of the Appalachian Trail is you're never more than about 3 or 4 days from town. And all those towns have a Walmart, a Food Line, a Dollar General, all kinds of places to resupply. So it's going to take me a little while to dial my menu in. I'm real concerned about nutrition. Early on, man, it's ramen noodles, instant mashed potatoes, instant oatmeal, stuff like that. But, eventually there'll be, I'll be transitioning with some peanut butter. I'll be putting olive oil and stuff because I'm going to need a lot of fat intake. And those town stops, those guys devour food. It's crazy, that hiker hunger. Let's see what else. I've dehydrated some ground beef that I'm going to send myself. That's really good in ramen noodles and stuff. So I'll be getting protein that way. So eventually I may need some help with food drops. I don't know. But I appreciate the question and the offer. And like I say, just kind of keep an eye out on Instagram. And, if something comes up, I'll put a message out there about that. I know I'll probably need something going into Maine, like before you go into the 100-mile wilderness, Monson area, something like that. They recommend carrying like 8 days of food or something crazy. So that'll be something I haven't done. Thanks, Chris. Looking forward to sharing the hike. I'm glad you're following along, and hope you enjoy it. Appreciate you watching. Yeah, I tell you what's been a big help is to be able to talk to a few people that have thru hiked themselves and just, get the knowledge and stuff from them. We just had a guy in Winchester recently finish up a southbound thru hike from Maine to Georgia. And, his story is incredible. And I'm still hoping we can get together for dinner one night and pick his brain a little bit more. I met up with a guy named Quicksand who was going southbound back in November and, spent an hour or two with him at lunch and just picked his brain about, what do you do with your food at night? Do you throw it up in a bear bag? Do you sleep with it? What do you do? So those types of things are things you just can't, necessarily read about without, meeting up with somebody and getting firsthand information. It's pretty awesome. So I'm not using a tent. That is a fantastic question. I am using a hammock. I bought a Darien model hammock from Dream Hammock Company. My setup is about 20 ounces. It's not heavy at all. It has an integrated bug net. I just sleep better in a hammock. I've been hammocking since 2008. I've got that dialed in pretty good. I mean, this is a new setup for me. I was using a Neo before that, but I've had this out a couple times. It's an asymmetric lay. So you kind of lay cattywampus, for lack of a better term, in the hammock, and you basically lay flat. And I sleep better in that than I do my own bed. And as a result, I mean, I have an under quilt and a top quilt that I use to keep me warm during the cold weather. So not tent camping, but I'm definitely in a hammock. What size shoes? So the Ultras, and I think any trail runner, they recommend that you go like a size bigger. Ideally, you want a full thumb width from the tip of your big toe to the top, to the front of the shoe. So you want to be able to have some room in there for your foot to spread out as you're hiking, because your feet will swell and spread as you traumatize them, for lack of a better term, on the hike. So right now I'm up basically a full size in my shoe, and that may expand even more as we progress up the trail. So good question though. Sleeping system. What sleeping system? So again, I'm in a hammock. I have a Dyneema Cuban fiber tarp. It basically feels like a trash bag. You would think it wouldn't hold up at all, but this thing is 12-foot ridge line. It's long. It comes down. It covers everything really well, and all of that is 9.6 ounces. So it really is lightweight. It doesn't weigh anything. They make tents out of that material. The tents are less than a pound or thereabouts, depending on what size you get. So it's an interesting material, but it's super strong, and I'm pretty excited about using it. My old tarp was 2 pounds or something. So just some of the changes I've made, man. I mean, I just shaved like 5 pounds off instantly. We always pick up hikers when you see them on Fast Twin. Yeah, man, that's awesome. They probably stink though. Make sure they roll the windows down and stuff. But they've got some great stories. And for you folks that give hikers a ride, man, that's awesome, because I mean, honestly, you don't know who you're picking up. I mean, you're picking up a stranger. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I've never hitchhiked, so that's going to be a new thing for me. But again, I'm probably going to be in a group of people, so I don't have to worry about, some weirdo picking me up by myself, most likely. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be good. Any health concerns? No, I am. I'm pretty healthy. That's why I'm doing this now. As you may have, I don't know if you followed along since I've started these video series, but November of 2014, I had open heart surgery. I had my aortic valve replaced. It had gotten what they call stenosed. So instead of the valve completely closing and working properly, it would not close all the way. So I was getting a lot of leakage back into my ventricles. So I had to have surgery, and I got a bioprosthetic heart valve. I'm probably in the best shape I've been with regards to that. I could, stand to lose 20, 30, 50 pounds. But besides that, I'm sure I'll take that off on the trail. But otherwise, I'm pretty healthy. I'm pretty good to go. So now's the time. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for the question, though. But if I can stay uninjured, it'll be a great time. I am a little concerned about, sprained ankle. I had a grade 3-4 sprain about 4 years ago of my right ankle, and that always just lingers in the back of my mind. But those shoes are good. They've got ankle support. I'm not terribly worried about it. So just watch my footing. But thank you. Paper maps, guidebook. So maps and things like that. So I have what's called the Gut Hooks app. It's a fantastic app for each section of the trail, all the way from Georgia to Maine. I'll load each section as I need it. but it shows you elevation, loss and gain. It shows you where the next water supply is, the next campsite, information for town stops, where you can hitch a ride or call trail angels or shuttle services. So I've got that electronically. And then my backup is AWOL's Guide to the Appalachian Trail. And it's a book, and it's in a Ziploc baggie. And sure, it's an extra, however many ounces, but I'm going to carry that too because it has really detailed information about town stops and stuff. So I'm going to carry that and make notes along the way, and that'll kind of be my journal to refer back to later on. So good question. Water system. How many bottles will you be taking? And fear is running out of water. Yes, that is a concern. If you've ever been a heat casualty, it is concerning. I was almost a heat casualty this past summer because I did something stupid and didn't carry enough water with me because I didn't want the weight. But on the Appalachian Trail, that's usually not an issue. There's a lot of water sources. I'll be carrying 2 liters of water with me at a time, unless I see that we're going through a dry spell and there's no water. So I have a backup 2-liter bag that I can carry. It's an ever new bag, but I use the Sawyer squeeze system. I really like that. I switched to it earlier this year. It's got a really good flow. And what I'll do is I'll just fill up my 2-liter ever new bag, put the Sawyer squeeze on it, squeeze water into my smart water bottles, and then fold it all up, put it away, and then I have 2 full bottles. I've seen some hikers that, they're more about efficiency. They'll fill their smart water bottle up, screw the filter on it, and drink right from that, which is fine. And it may take me a while to get comfortable to do that, but I like filtering the water, and that gives me a break. I can stop, fill up water, camel up, fill it back up, keep on hiking then. So good question though. Are you worried about relying solely on electronics? So no, because my what I'm going to do is my phone will stay in airplane mode most of the time. I do have a GPS device with the SOS beacon on it, so I'll always be hitting a satellite. But the white blazes are every few trees for 2,100 miles. So while people do step off trail and get lost, usually that's not an issue on the Appalachian Trail. So I'm not too worried about it. And I mentioned before, I'm going to be carrying a 20,000 milliamp backup battery. So this new S10 phone, I can go days without charging it. It's incredible. So I think I'm going to be okay. And if I need to send myself another battery pack, so I have 2, I may do that through the 100-mile wilderness anyway, because I want to make sure I'm able to video and document that journey, and not run out of battery power up there toward the end of the hike. All right, Dale, thanks for it. I look forward to the steak and the beer treat, buddy. Take care. Fear of ticks, snakes, bears. All right, so yeah, the only thing that really concerns me are ticks because of the diseases they carry. But I'm going to treat all of my gear with promethrin spray. I do that before I go turkey hunting in the spring. I spray all my stuff down, and I really haven't had any ticks on me as a result of that. So I'm going to treat all my hiking clothes with promethrin as well. Snakes, I've always been kind of scared of snakes, but it's just part of the deal. I think if you pay attention to what you're doing, you shouldn't have any issues. Snake bites are rare on the Appalachian Trail. Of course, we've got copperheads, timber rattlesnakes. Those are the ones we have to worry about. And then there's a plethora of, black snakes and garter snakes and milk snakes and, all the non-venomous types. So I'm not too worried about snakes. I'll probably scream when I see one. It just, it's always when your foot's coming down and you holler, and it's a primal response. Can't help it. But bears, I'm not too worried about bears. They're basically just a big raccoon. They're just foraging for food. And most of the black bears you see out in the woods, you see their butt as they're running away from you. These aren't grizzly bears. They're not going to, attack and eat you unless you're messing with their cub or something. So you just got to be smart about it. I'm going to do the PCT style hang with my food bag, but I'm not worried about, a bear encounter. It'll probably startle me a little bit, but, I've never really seen a bear in the wild other than, on Skyline Drive standing alongside the road. So, but thanks for that question. That's good. What else y'all got? Excuse me, I gotta take another drink here. So the Appalachian Trail is a well-worn footpath that's about 3 foot wide. You really don't have to do any bushwhacking on it. Of course, you're going to get off trail to, go dig a cat hole or use, visit a tree or whatever. But hopefully, that won't be an issue for getting lost. But it's pretty, it's pretty well defined. And like I say, there's, I think 300 some thousand blazes on trees from Georgia to Maine. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about, having to bushwhack or anything. That's one thing that app will do is if I'm off trail, I can pull that app up and it'll show me where the trail is and how I need to get back to it. So that's a good thing. Will it be a YouTube series of videos released when you get back? So I'm going to be hopefully uploading videos regularly as I travel along this journey. I mentioned early on that I may delay the videos by several days to a week, just so that I'm not under stress and pressure to get these videos out, every single day. So they're going to be delayed a little bit, I think, but I'm planning to do, maybe 2 to 3 days at a time. So like a story, and I'll get that out. The only time that's going to be a problem is when I get to the 100-mile wilderness. I understand there is, as you get further north, there is no cell service at all. So a lot of people don't upload their final leg of the journey and the summit to Katahdin until they get down and back in town or even home. So we'll just have to see how that goes. So yeah, what I plan to do about editing the video on the trail is every night when I get in my hammock, read for a little bit and then edit, that day's video. And then I can save it and add to it the next day so that I don't have to sit down and edit hours and hours and hours and days worth of video at one time. So I'll edit it as I go along. I trim it, use transitions and stuff like that to scene and add music. And I'll be able to do all that and try to keep up with it to make life a little more easy at the end of the couple days when I'm ready to upload it. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, the instances on the AT this past year, and that's certainly sad. And the question is, will you carry protection? So concealed carry is a very personal decision. I am a concealed carry holder in Virginia. One thing you have to understand is there's 14 states that the trail transverses, and each state has their own law. And going to prison is not something I want to do because I was carrying a gun for protection. There's very few instances of violence on the trail. Yes, something happened last year. That guy clearly had mental issues. They had arrested him and locked him up a couple times, and people would not come back to testify against him. So they let him back out. They had to let him go. That's our justice system. And eventually there was a tragic event. But again, I think there's strength in numbers. And, if I'm hiking with a group of people, I think we'll be okay. There's big rocks out there you can swing and, knock somebody if you have to. But yeah, I don't plan on carrying a gun. Base weight conscious, what is one of the non-necessity items you're carrying with you that's purely a want item? So honestly, it's probably my Z-pad seat. It's called a butt pad. It's just something to put down when you sit on a log or something to keep your butt from getting wet. And it's just closed cell foam padding, 2.1 ounces, not heavy, but it's nice to have that thing to when you get to a shelter to put it on the picnic table and have a place to sit that's fairly soft without sitting on a hard bench or a hard rock or something like that. It's attached to the outside of my pack. I can set it up in seconds, and then I got a decent place to sit and eat my lunch or whatever. So that's a luxury item. I could live without it. I don't need to take that, but I am. And the other thing I'm taking that's a luxury item that some people don't recommend you take is Crocs, because I like to have camp shoes. When I get to camp, I like to get the hiking shoes off, let my dog's air out. I don't like to walk around barefoot. So, a set of Crocs is 12 ounces or something. So I'm going to carry those with me as well. So those are two luxury items that I'll be taking. Good question though, because otherwise I've got it pretty well whittled down to the bare necessities. Do you have any views or sections of the trail you're really excited to get in? Well, most of the trail I've hiked just been in Virginia. So I am really excited to get through the Smoky Mountains. That is some of the highest ground on the AT. It goes from like 5,000 to 6,600. Clingman's Dome is over 6,600 feet, and so that's pretty exciting. I hope we have clear skies and good views, and of course the White Mountains. Mount Washington looks just spectacular. Looking forward to doing those. Those are hard miles. I'm glad they're later in the hike when you're in hiking shape, but that's going to be pretty exciting. And then of course Katahdin, but that thing from Katahdin Stream Campground to the top, it looks like you just go straight up. So, at the base of the mountain, it's 1,000 feet and you go all the way up to like 52 or 5,300. So in a space of 5 miles, you're just straight up. So that's pretty exciting. There's a lot of bouldering. It looks like it's pretty technical, but that's a beautiful mountain too. So anywhere you can get up high and get a good view, I'm excited for. Thanks for the question, Nick. How will you retreat permethrin on the trail? So yeah, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to have little spray bottles full of this stuff. And occasionally, probably 3 or 4 times through the hike, I'll have my wife mail me a supply box with that in it. And I'll take the old one and, I'll spray my stuff on it, empty it out, mail it back. I think every 6 or 7 weeks, you need to treat your stuff. Excuse me a second. I'm getting a little dry. So about every 6 weeks or so, you have to treat your equipment with the permethrin. So that's my plan. Probably about the time I get to Damascus, Virginia, I'll have to do it. Pennsylvania, I'll do it. And then, maybe before I go into New Hampshire or something. So 3 or 4 times is how I plan to do it. So thank you for the question. All right, TJ, thanks for logging in, buddy. Appreciate your comments. I know your taste will change, but what trail dinner is your favorite to make? So I'm actually, one I really like is called Cheesy Bako Spuds. I'm not taking that with me now because I don't want to deal with the shredded cheese and stuff. That's one I take out on weekend hikes. I really like it because it's got bacon bits. You put some shredded cheese in it. It's instant mashed potatoes. It's really filling. It's a hot meal. It's fantastic. I've got a lot of instant mashed potatoes, Spam singles. I have dehydrated some ground beef that I'm going to ship to myself various times to add some flavor to like noodles and Knorr sides. I've got rice and pasta dishes both. A lot of those chicken and tuna creations, those are good. So I'm not a picky eater. I'll definitely be looking forward to town food every few days, but I don't really have a particular a favorite that I'm going to be carrying a lot out there. I do have some freeze-dried meals that I'm sending myself for the Smoky Mountains because, those are going to be hard days, I think, and I really want a nice, hot, filling meal at the end of that day. So I'm looking forward to, those probably 4 or 5 days that I'm in the Smokies, having a nice, super filling hot supper. So those are like Mountain House style meals that I'll be eating then. Thanks for the question. That's good. Appreciate you logging in. What other questions do y'all have? Man, wow, we've been going 42 minutes already. How did that happen? That's awesome. We'll give it a few more minutes here and probably go until about 8 o'clock. So coffee in the mornings, absolutely. I'm not carrying a French press or anything with me like that. It's instant coffee. I'm carrying 2 pouches. One of them is a Trader Joe's blend that is sweetened and has creamer in it. I'm not a black coffee kind of guy. I just can't drink it. And then a pack of like Folgers instant. So I'll mix the 2 together, makes that Trader Joe's a little stronger. And then I'll have a pretty much 1 cup of coffee in the morning to get me going. And, maybe something hot later in the evening, hot tea or something. But after lunchtime coffee, anything with caffeine in it keeps me up. So, but I am planning on having a cup of coffee every day. I've got, all my baggies packed with coffee in them right now. So good question. Thanks. How hard was it to convince your family you needed to do this adventure? Surprisingly, it wasn't hard at all. Like I said, I retired from the fire department. So that was a pretty stressful job all those years. It takes a toll on you. I've known some people that, a few years after they retired, they've gotten cancer, some other calamity has befallen them. And man, you only get one chance at life, and that's all I want to do. I'm healthy. I'm in, fairly decent shape. I don't run marathons or anything like that, but I think now is the time because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And they were real supportive. My kids joke and say that I won't make it out of Georgia. So, I appreciate those words of encouragement from my kids. But, other than that, that's, I've got good support. I got good support from work to take off and do it. And so I just hope that I'm successful and, I don't let anybody down by not completing the trail for some reason. Are you planning to go solo the entire trip? So, or plan on catching up with a small group along the way. So there's, as mentioned earlier, there's at least 20 people starting on the same day I'm starting. I'm sure that we'll, probably connect up. Some people like to hike solo. I can hike solo or I can have interaction. I would prefer some interaction. I like just, talking to people and hiking and whatnot. So I'm sure at some point, it might be early on, it might take a few weeks to a month, but then you get this thing called a tramily, a trail family. And those are a small group of people that you end up hiking with and you develop relationships with. And, these groups stick together, pretty much, all the way through. So, so that's kind of my plan. I'm just going to let things happen and unfold and see what happens. I'm sure if I end up hiking with some, retired fire, police, or military, we're all kind of cut from the same cloth. And it'll be a lot of fun. And I look forward to that. So we'll just see how it goes. Somebody just said that they're a LEO, law enforcement officer, and understand the stress. Best wishes. So yeah, it takes a toll. It's the best job in the world, but it certainly, could take a toll. Excuse me. I don't mean to be drinking in front of y'all, but I got a little dry. Another question, are you wearing gaiters? Yes, I have invested in a set of Dirty Girl gaiters. They attach right to the outer shoes, and they keep out little stones and sticks and stuff while you're hiking. So, yes, that was one of the last things I bought. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, but I ended up doing it. So looking forward to keeping rocks and sticks and stuff out of my shoes. Approach trail from Amicalola or starting at Springer. So I am going to start at Amicalola Falls. I mentioned earlier that if you're hiking 2,200 miles, what's another 8.8 miles? I want to take in the whole experience. I'd like to see those falls and walk up those stairs and just kind of that'll be my break-in hike that day. So, yeah. And they say this time of the year, the road into Springer Mountain parking lot might be closed because of weather and stuff. So I'm just planning on going to the state park, and we're going to start there and head north. So looking forward to that. Thanks for the question though. I'm in this little Facebook group, and there's like an argument every week about, what's not part of the AT. It doesn't count. Why is anybody hiking it? Who cares? Looking forward to just getting out there and putting in some miles and enjoy nature. What else y'all got? We'll go, if there's any more questions, we'll go till about 8 o'clock and then go from there. So, and I'll probably get another video or two out between now and when I leave. So I don't think I'm going to get out for any more training hikes. I think I'm pretty set. I have been taking my Osprey Aether 70 backpack, and I dropped a 40-pound bag of wood pellets down in it. And I go to the parking garage in Winchester, and I've been doing about 450 stairs, something like that. So no issues there. Just trying to get ready for those, 650 stairs at Amicalola Falls. I don't know, but looking forward to it. Are you planning on updates on YouTube or some type of trail blog? So yeah, I plan on vlogging the journey on YouTube. As I mentioned earlier, I'm probably going to delay the videos by a week or so, just because I don't want that pressure every night of absolutely having to get videos out and maybe not even have good cell service to do that. So I'm going to delay them a little bit, and so there will be a delay. So you'll watch the video, but you might see it next week or something, and it's just got me starting. So I'm probably going to keep Instagram and Facebook a little more updated, just with like some scenes of the day or something. But yeah, YouTube will be a little bit delayed. Thanks, Tedder. I appreciate that, brother. I will definitely keep you in mind if when I get in the area if I need something. I've had several people offer, and I appreciate the support. That's pretty awesome. Looking forward to it. How long did you wait before you bought your big three? So, as mentioned, we started doing some prep hikes earlier in the summer for our adult scout leader trip to Philmont. And I started at that point cutting weight with my big three. I've always carried an Osprey pack. I love them. Man, they're great packs. I love the customer service and the warranty and stuff, but they're heavy. So that was one of the decisions was, after I got back from Philmont, I bought a Z-Packs Arc Haul Zip 64 liter ultralight backpack. And I love it. It's a great pack. I traded down from my sleeping bag, which was, it's probably 2.5 pound down sleeping bag, 15-degree bag, and went with 2 quilts. I have a 20-degree top quilt from Jack's Are Better, great company. And then I have an under quilt because in a hammock, you can't have the compressed down under you because there's no insulation value. So the under quilt hangs fully lofted under the outside of the quilt, which keeps your warmth in. So those were decisions I made pretty early on to upgrade those things. I've had an underquilt for many years since I've been hammocking, but I had a torso length underquilt, and I was worried with Smoky Mountains and stuff that the torso length underquilt just wasn't going to provide me the warmth that I needed. I needed a security blanket of a full length underquilt. So I went ahead and got, full length 20-degree underquilt. And I've tested that gear down to 11 degrees in the backyard. And the only thing that got cold were my feet, and that was my fault because I wore cotton socks that night. I was in the backyard, probably not wearing what I was going to wear on the trail that night, footwear wise. So that was my own fault. But I have since bought a pair of down booties that I'll be wearing to help keep my feet warm, in the hammock. So good question. I've had that gear for a while, and I just decided to kind of start upgrading through the summer. So the last big purchase I made was the GPS. And that was a struggle. I couldn't, decide if I wanted it or not. But having the peace of mind of being able to hit an SOS button and get help on the way if you don't have self-service was huge and a deciding factor. So that was the last big purchase I made. How do you feel about 0 days? I feel like when I finally hike the AT, I'll keep them to a minimum mentally if I get too comfortable. So yeah, I'm just going to listen to my body. We're all on a budget and a time schedule, and I'm not interested in spending a week in town or anything like that. Like I say, I'm going to go that first week and see if I need a 0. And if I do, I'll take one. And then the next week, I'll up my mileage by a few, go for a week, see if I need a 0. And then by the 3rd or 4th week, you should be in pretty decent hiking shape, and your body should be used to the trail by then. And then just take 0s when you need them, in some town. It might be 2 or 3 weeks before you need a 0. You might need one after 4 days. I don't know. Some of that's the weather. This time of the year, the weather can just be hateful down there in the mountains, like the Smoky Mountains in North Carolina and stuff like that. So I don't want to take any more than 1 0 at a time because, like you say, you get comfortable, you get lazy, and then you may not get back out there on trail. So there'll be some Neros into town, what they call Neros. So you arrive in town in the morning, you resupply, maybe you hang out or whatever, get a shower, do laundry, and then get back on the trail and hike, another 5 miles to a campsite or something like that. So, I'm sure I'll be doing that a lot. But thanks. Good question, though. We'll go about another 5 minutes here if anybody has any final questions. And I know everybody's probably got to get ready for work tomorrow. I got to do the same thing. And we're having a little going away lunch tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that at the Outback Steakhouse where we're pick it up there and bring it back to the office. But yeah, as mentioned earlier, work's just been super supportive. They're all concerned about, me being out on the trail, and a lot of people don't understand the dynamic that, you're not out there by yourself necessarily. In fact, as you go into March and April, there's groups of 40, 50 people starting every day. So you're never alone out there. You might be alone during the day while you're hiking, but when you get to camp, that's not going to be an issue. Good luck. Looking forward to your videos. Thanks. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. I hope I can produce a good product for you all to enjoy and kind of follow along, and looking forward to it, because I'm sure there's going to be days I'm going to need some positive comments, because it's just, after a while, it's just a mental game. Physically, your body can do just about anything, but, mentally, there's some tough days out there. So especially if it's raining all day and it's about 35 degrees and, that little voice starts talking about, why don't you just quit and go home? So, yeah. You're welcome for the information. Thanks for watching. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it seemed like, it was so long ago that I was planning this out, and now I'm 2 weeks. It's exciting and terrifying all at the same time. But the guy that just finished up his Sobo hike, I was talking about trying to figure things out. And he goes, you'll get to Katahdin and you still won't have it figured out. You just kind of go with it. So don't try to beat the trail, because the trail will beat you, apparently. All right, folks. Well, it's almost 8 o'clock. So thanks for watching. I appreciate your support. That's awesome. If no more questions, then I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. And thank you for giving me an hour of your life. Man, that went by fast. That was awesome. That's the first time I've ever done a live video, so it's pretty cool. But thank you all, and that seems to be all the questions. So we'll just go ahead and end the chat now. So thanks again, and thanks for watching and following along. Talk to you later.